you say we buckle up and go for a little ride? We'll go to Cairo, Shiloh, Moscow, Chichen Itza, Krakatoa, Shenandoah, Mauna Loa, Terra, Pisa, Warsaw, Aqaba, Shangri-La, Transylvania, Nome, Rome, Stockholm, Lyon, Mauritania, Khartoum, Rangoon, Cancun, Saskatoon, Kowloon, Cameroon, Brigadoon, to the moon. Let's go everywhere, man. Lots of fun out there, man. We get out of your chair, man. Let's go everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere.
Well, good morning. Welcome. It's a very exciting day for us at Google, particularly because this is the biggest Geo event of the year, but particularly because it's happening here in Sydney. We've got an exciting event lined up for you. We've got some great speakers, some awesome customers, and we're really pleased that you made it out, braved the rain and the traffic to make it here with us, so thank you for being here. So the first map of Australia was produced back in 1753 by a guy by the name of Jacques Nicolas Belin. It was published with the help of the Royal Society. It's kind of a long time ago from us. 230 odd years later, in the mid-1980s, any road trip in Australia would still take 3 physical maps to be able to get there. Usually that was one of the metro area, one of the arterial roads to take you wherever you were headed, and then one of the local towns wherever you were going. It seems like a long way from where we are today. Today we have the ability to hold a map of the world in the palm of our hands through cloud technology, geospatial data, and mobile computing. We're finding that this technology reaches us very early and very easily as consumers. Those trips in the 1980s, the easiest way to tell the distance left to go was usually from how loud the cries of "Are we there yet?" were and how often they came. What we're hearing now is that those cries in the consumer world are starting to subside, and the cries of "Are we there yet?" are happening more and more in the enterprise market. It's a big change. It's a big change that's upon us. What we hope to accomplish today is to help you understand our mission of helping our enterprise customers work the way they live. The opportunity to take that consumer technology into the business world and make the most of it to make their enterprises and your enterprises better, not only for yourselves and for your staff, but for your customers and for the way that you do business. It's a massive opportunity and a massive paradigm shift in the way technology is being used these days, and we're here to help you make the most of it. As I say, we've got a pretty packed agenda for you, and we've got some very exciting speakers. We've got a couple of our global product managers here to speak with you about what's happening in Google and where we're taking Google, Google Maps that is, and some of our customers to present, which for me is the most exciting part, for you to get to understand and to hear directly from our customers, their experience with us and their experience with Google Maps. There's a lot going on today, and at this point in time, I'd suggest you take a breath, have a think about whether this is something you can make the most of in your enterprise now, and perhaps reflect on it at the end of today and think about how much that thought might have changed. We've got some very exciting content for you, and I really suggest to you, and I encourage you to make the most of today, to really immerse yourself in today, and to jump at the opportunity that you have before you. From its origins through its most recent innovations, Google Maps strives to be a powerful tool that transforms people's lives. And our first speaker is a very exciting speaker from my perspective. He has a very strong bio, has been part of Google for some time. He used to be the engineering director in YouTube, and so he understands that scale that we're taking with Google Maps into the enterprise. He's been involved for a long time in the technical space, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Louis Perrochon.
Thank you. So yes, I've been engineering director at YouTube, but now I work on Geo Maps for the last 2 years. And my job is to take our mapping products for consumers and make them available in the enterprise. So that's what my team and we are doing as our day job. And it's a pretty large team to make sure everybody else can use our technology. But before we go there, I'm going to talk a little bit about the consumer mapping product. So in 2005, we launched a product with this map. Europe wasn't happy. I think Australia wasn't there either. But do you remember when you had to go look up something on a map, you had to type, address in one field and the address, the number in another field, and then the zip code and so on. Then you hit return, it takes 10 seconds till it loads. When you zoom in, when you pan, it took another 10 seconds. And what we changed in 2005, we launched Google Maps, where there's only one bar on top. And you can just drag, zoom, whatever you want, and it's really, really fast, and it updates the tile in real time. And this was a massive, massive change in the way mapping works on the web. And this was the start of a long, long series of innovation. So one thing that we realized was, if we have these maps just on google.com, that's not enough. There's a whole bunch of other websites out there, and they want maps too. And the same year as we launched a map, we launched an API that allows other people to use these maps and put them on their own website and configure them. You may have separate data, your stores, or some other information that's relevant. And so we have a lot of developers that can put maps into their product. That's the first step of an enterprise, maps for business product that's out there. In 2006, we launched the first version of Google Maps on a phone. It was written in Java. It's been a long time ago. And we realized that the phone is the future. And Maps was probably the first big product at Google where mobile use surpassed web use. That was like last year or so, where suddenly more people use Google Maps on the phone than on the desktop, which is obvious because of navigation. If you think about it, it's kind of like a great use case. But the use case of geo, of maps, is mobile. It's wherever you are. It's not on your desktop. And we realized that early on, and we've been supporting mobile ever since. Traffic. In 2007, that was a good year. We also launched Traffic. And we have traffic in hundreds of cities now, like real-time traffic information. And it's amazing. Like I live in Mountain View, California, and we have traffic information on like minor roads. So if I drove to work, it's like the freeway is clear, everybody has the freeway, but we have it like on some of the surface roads, and I can just see whether the shoreline overpass is stuck right now or not. And again, it's on the phone where it's the most important place to be. Later in 2007, we launched Street View. We started with 5 US cities. We've been driving 5 million unique roads, 5 million miles of unique road ever since. So the car that you see outside, it has a bunch of brothers, and they drive all over the world, and the amount of imagery we collect is just unbelievable. It's an insane amount of imagery. We also launched Transit. So if you want to take the bus or any public transit, you can still use Google Directions or Google Navigation, that will tell you where is a bus, where is a ferry. And we have 22 cities in Australia alone. I think worldwide we have hundreds of cities where we have transit information. In 2009, we launched turn-by-turn navigation. And this was a major, major, major breakthrough, because now you can have on your phone, for free, GPS-assisted turn-by-turn navigation. Something that before you had to buy specialized devices, and they were not so up to date in terms of directions. What we have at Google is cloud connected, and so you always have the latest information. You have the latest maps. You can use there's traffic information overlaid, so you see if your route is going to be, if there's a traffic jam in the way. And today we have driving directions in 187 countries for more than 20 million miles of road, where we can give you direction. And you can buy a Tesla today that has basically Google Maps in the dashboard. So this is coming. It's like cars, for those of you who have a car navigation system, compare it with your phone. Who prefers the car? Who prefers a phone? Most of the people prefer a phone. So one of the questions we have is, how can we get this experience into the car? Something we're working on. And you can have it in a Tesla. You can get an Audi with Google Earth that has Google Earth in the dashboard. You can buy that. You can actually buy it for a while, but that's available on the market. It's a standard product. So what do we do? What do we do last year, this year? It's like we continue to increase coverage. We continue to have better imagery, and we also did I/O, Google Maps on the iPhone. So let's talk a little bit about coverage. We have these Google Maps, and we used to buy that data. We license it, maybe from a government or from a third-party agency, and we put it all together. And that was really hard because you have to get maps from all over the world and create the product. And they have different standards, different qualities, sometimes it's out of date. And there's a bunch of challenges with this. The first one is a Google user comes to us and says, hey, that road there doesn't exist, or there's a new road over there. What we have to do now, we have to go back to the provider and say, hey, that road isn't there. And then the provider maybe changes the road. 6 months later, we get a data set back, and it shows up on Google Maps. So that's a limitation if we work with third-party data. And that's not really the way we think it should work. So we started a project called Ground Truth, where we build our own maps. So Google is building maps based on aerial imagery, satellite imagery, pictures from Street View. Sometimes there's like public domain data sets that we can use for this purpose. And we basically started from scratch, like building our own maps. And the advantage of those maps is that they're not limited in any way. So we can build like turn-by-turn products, which sometimes with the license data is not possible. We can change it right away. And in fact, all of you guys can change it. We have a product called MapMaker, where anybody in the world can go in and update the Google Maps, and it goes through a process to make sure there's not, the quality is high enough, and it goes right into Google Maps. And we can very, very fast update when something changes in the real world. And we also do I also have another example, like maybe 8 weeks ago, so 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I was at the launch of a satellite. This was Landsat 8, or it's going to be Landsat 8 once it's operational. And it was a very emotional experience to actually see a satellite. I'm from Switzerland, yeah, we don't do satellites. But I live in the US now, so I see the satellite launch. And you see the satellite go up. Now this Landsat satellite is Landsat 8, so it had 7 younger brothers, and they've been up since for 40 years now. And they've been circling around the world, taking imagery, beaming the imagery down. And we have 2.8 million satellite images in the Google Cloud over the last 40 years that come from Landsat. And nobody else has the capacity and the availability of these images. And they allow amazing things. Like we can go back and look at the world how it was 40 years ago or 20 years ago. And we can do some remote sensing analysis technology on this imagery. So the scale of this operation is unbelievable. Yeah, some of the old Landsat, they were beaming data down to Australia. And they didn't have enough memory in the satellite, so when the satellite was over the US, it already erased those images. So the images are only in Australia. Images of Australia only in the Australian ground station. And we're working with the Australian government and the owners of those images to get those into the cloud to make them available to everybody in the world. So these are just like a few examples of how we're building this massive engine for maps, for geospatial data in the cloud that we now make available to everybody else in the world. Indoor map is another example. Yeah, it's most maps, they kind of stop at the building and you have to switch over to a different map if there is one of the inside of the building. If we have indoor maps of malls, of airports, then the same phone that can take you all across of Australia can also take you through the airport, show you where is the lounge, where is the bathroom, where's the duty-free store, or in a big mall can take you to the store that you're looking for. This is also launched in, I think 10 countries worldwide, and it's one of the things we're expanding on an ongoing basis. Now, imagery. So we continue to increase imagery. Today, every 2 weeks, we're putting more imagery online than we had in 2006. We have 20 petabytes of data in the cloud, 20 petabytes of imagery. This could be indoor, aerial, like the middle on top. This high resolution is aerial. It could be something like this, which is a 3D model of the Colosseum in Rome. And We continue with Street View, yeah, and you have a bunch of these vehicles outside, so you can look at them. This is Switzerland, the one in the middle, yeah, so we put it on a train on a very beautiful road. So it's Street View, but we have these custom collects of interesting areas, and we're on all continents. We have Street View in Antarctica, Grand Canyon, so it is an ongoing effort to basically capture the world and help our understanding of the world and create a perfect map where everything that exists in the world we have on the map and we can find it. So I'm going to show you a video of 3D reconstructions of building. This is an amazing thing. Can we play this? So what you've seen, and this is live, you can look at this in Google Earth yourself on a desktop or on a phone. If you go to San Francisco, for example, you see the 3D reconstructed imagery. And what we did is we basically, it turned out that when we fly a plane and we take pictures of the ground below, there's an overlap on all these images. And some of our engineers said, you know, we have overlap, we can reconstruct. We can create a 3D model of the ground, a mesh of all the buildings, all the trees, and said, let's try it. And they tried, and it works. And the amount of hardware this uses is unbelievable. So in terms of resources or so, this is one of the most pushing things that we do in Geo, is just reconstruct these images, these 3D meshes. But it shows, you know, how far we can go with the technology we have today. Now, if you think about this, we did this with existing aerial imagery. We didn't fly specifically for this. Going forward, we can fly. You have a little bit more overlap. We increase cameras. So the quality of all these products is just going to increase a lot. Like a disaster, an earthquake, flooding. Sometimes our planes, they're not our planes, but they fly for us. They're in there first. Like Japan earthquake, yeah, a Google plane flew all the way to Japan. That was an adventure by itself. And then they go in first and they take aerial imagery. And with this, we can then have aerial imagery of before and after, 3D meshes. We can identify damage zones in very, very fast, fully automated. And this kind of technology is just too good to just keep it for us, and that's why we make it available. iPhone. So it's kind of like, you know, it's now 6 months old or so. But last year, we launched Google Maps for the iPhone. And one thing that became very clear is how good our maps are. Yeah, so that's something that came out of last year. It was an independent confirmation of the quality of our maps. But it's not just this. What I think we are most proud of is the reviews we got for the user experience on the iPhone. And a whole bunch of people, journalists, and everybody thinks like the way, you know, Google Maps on the iPhone works is not just better data, because we're Google, we know how to do it, but it's also the experience. And that was kind of like more surprising. But what you see is that we're able to create a very, very good experience for our users that they love to use, and they want to use it at the workplace. Yeah, so there's like a bunch of quotes from the press, yeah, and we continue to go on with this. Developer innovations. Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning, we have these websites. Yeah, there's websites that put Google Maps on them. There's 900,000 of them. That's a lot. We have a blog where every week we post the map of the week, some cool map in any kind of domain. It will take us 17,000 years to put every map on that blog. That's how much 900,000 websites are. It's a huge number of third-party sites that already use our maps, and many of them are configured in some innovative or novel way. So on Google.com, yeah, with maps and mobile, we have 1 billion people using our maps every day. That's kind of half of the population of the internet. Sorry, 1 billion every month, yeah. And our Street View program goes on. We're driving 12 billion miles each year. No, that seems like high. Is it 12 billion? Really? I should have looked at this. Okay. So that's a lot of miles, 12 billion. So but where are we going now? And I think what today is about is how can we take this technology, these products, these possibilities, and move them into the workplace? Because all of us, we use these devices, we use maps on the web, on the phone every day. But then we go to work and we're forced to use some last century technology. And how can we enhance the workplace? And the rest of today is about this. While we do this, we need to continue to do what we're good. We need to continue to have usable products. Yeah, these are the 3 mantras of Geo. Usable, comprehensive. We need to have everything in the world. That's what we're looking for. Every road, every building, and accurate. We want to keep the incredible familiar user interface. The power of Google Maps is that everybody knows how to use them. It's very, very easy. They're used to it. It's a perfect tool, and people want to use this at the workplace, no matter where they are. Our consumer product has insane reliability. Yeah, we have like 4 nines of availability. There's like no way you can do this with an on-premise solution. There's very, 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 very few companies who are able to do this with an on-premise solution. But this is what Google is all about. Yeah, when was the last time Google search went down? It really doesn't really happen. Yeah. These little tiles, when you load a map, it's small little tiles. We expect each tile to be ready in 10 milliseconds. This is on the server side. Yeah, but this is our cutoff time. A tile that has longer than 10 milliseconds to show up is late. We may still display it, yeah, but that's kind of like the server-side performance requirement. And our peak load on tile serving, these map tiles, our peak load is 1.6 million tiles a second. So we know how to serve a lot of data really, really, really fast. And we are transporting this into the enterprise. So we continue to innovate across all these products, and we're going to spend a lot more time today to show how we're going to move this into the workforce.